His parents abandoned him because he looked too strange. Later on, this happened. This is a heartbreaking story of abandonment, one of a poor child in the Ukraine with a terrible disability that was abandoned at birth and left for dead. This disfigured child was unwanted by his parents and family members alike. Given to an orphanage and left to fend for himself, this young boy known only as Dima embarked on a journey that most people could never manage. What happened over the course of several years will astound you. Keep watching to find out whether or not Dima was able to overcome his hardships. In the dimly lit room of a Ukrainian hospital, George and Sylvia sat in stunned silence, the sterile white walls echoing their disbelief. Their long-awaited joy, the birth of their first child, had morphed into an unimaginable reality. The nurses had just left, leaving behind a palpable tension that filled the air. Their newborn son, swaddled in a soft blue blanket, lay in a small crib beside Sylvia's bed. His tiny face, marred by the signs of a cruel and rare disease, seemed to twist in discomfort even in his sleep. George, his hands trembling, couldn't bring himself to look at the child. Sylvia, tears streaming down her face, whispered brokenly, "How can we accept this for our son?" George, his voice barely audible, replied, "I don't know, Sylvia, I don't know." He struggled with a storm of emotions, pity, fear, a sense of injustice. The dreams of teaching his son to play football, of walking him to school, all seemed to shatter in an instant. Their conversation was a dance of sorrow and disbelief, each word heavy with the weight of a future they'd never envisioned. The notion of abandoning their child loomed in the room like an unspoken ghost, a testament to their overwhelming despair. Outside, the hospital corridor buzzed with life, unaware of the small tragedy unfolding within the walls of room 307. In that room, two new parents grappled with a reality that was as disfiguring to their hopes as the disease was to their son's face. The doctor said, "Mr. and Mrs. Kovalenko, I need to discuss your son's condition with you. He's been diagnosed with hydrocephalus. It's a condition where fluid accumulates in the brain. It's quite severe and unfortunately, it means he won't develop normally, both mentally and physically. Most children with this condition don't live past 2 or 3 years." George's face hardened and his eyes avoided the small form in the crib. "So you're saying he won't be normal ever?" "That's correct," the doctor replied. "His quality of life will be significantly compromised." There was a cold detachment in the doctor's voice. Sylvia looked away, her expression a mixture of revulsion and sorrow. "We can't. How are we supposed to care for a child like that?" "There are facilities that can manage his care if you feel you're unable to." George's voice was flat and almost emotionless. "We can't take him home, we just can't." Sylvia asked, "Isn't there somewhere we can take him, an orphanage or something?" The doctor nodded, his demeanor remaining impassive. "Yes, there are state-run orphanages that can take him in." He watched as they exchanged a look, a silent agreement passed between them. "Then that's what we'll do. We'll leave him in an orphanage." The decision hung heavily in the air, a testament to their shattered dreams and the harsh reality they faced. The doctor simply nodded, showing no sign of judgment or empathy as he left to make arrangements. The sound of the door closing seemed to echo their final decision, leaving the child behind in a world he was never truly part of. Dima was brought to a state-run facility for disabled orphans where he would spend the next several years struggling to survive. Dima's existence had been a constant battle against the insurmountable odds stacked against him. The staff at the orphanage, though burdened with many, held a special place in their hearts for Dima. His bright eyes, always filled with an unspoken understanding, seemed to capture the essence of innocence and resilience. But as the war raged on, cutting deep into the supplies and aid, the shadow of uncertainty grew darker over Dima's future. Nikita, Max, and Tom, 3 of the orphanage's most dedicated caretakers, sat together in the dimly lit staff room, their faces etched with worry and exhaustion. "I can't believe it's been 4 years since Dima came to us. It feels like yesterday." "Yeah, but look at him now. Still can't walk, talk, or even feed himself. It's heartbreaking." "And with the war, I don't know how we're going to keep providing for him. The medical supplies are running low and food is getting scarce." Nikita's eyes were moist as he spoke. "I fear the worst for him. He's so fragile, and with everything going on outside, I just don't know if he'll make it." Max shook his head, a mix of anger and sadness in his voice. "It's unfair. He's just a child and he's already faced more than most of us will in a lifetime." Tom added softly, "We've all grown so attached to him. I can't imagine this place without his smile, as faint as it is." Their conversation was a somber reflection of the harsh reality they faced, each word heavy with the love and care they had for Dima. The room was silent for a moment, save for the distant sounds of other children in the orphanage. As they stood up to return to their duties, there was a collective sense of resolve among them. Despite the dwindling supplies in the shadow of war, they were determined to provide Dima with all the love and care he needed for as long as they could. His life, though marred by challenges and an uncertain future, had become a beacon of hope and strength in the midst of despair. Dima, unaware of the conversations and worries surrounding him, lay in his small bed, His gentle breaths a reminder of the fragile thread of life that the staff were fighting so hard to preserve. As the war in Ukraine raged on, its repercussions were felt deeply in the small orphanage that had become a haven for the forsaken. The conflict had stripped them of essentials. Food, water, and medicine were now luxuries they could scarcely afford. In these dire times, the staff faced the heart-wrenching reality that little Dima, the boy with hydrocephalus who had fought against all odds, was slipping away. With the orphanage's resources depleted, Dima's fragile health deteriorated rapidly. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, the staff with heavy hearts decided to call upon Father Andrei, a local priest, to perform the last rites for Dima. In the sparse, dimly lit room where Dima lay, Father Andrei joined Max, Tom, and Nikita. The air was heavy with sorrow and the unspoken acceptance of the inevitable. "I know this is a difficult time for you," Father said. "You have cared for Dima as your own." "Father, it's just hard to accept," Nikita replied. "He's been with us for so long, fighting every day. We did everything we could, but the war, it's taken so much from us, and now it's taking Dima. He's so young, Father, it doesn't feel fair. Why him?" Father Andrei looked at each of them, his kind eyes yet filled with the wisdom of one who had seen much suffering. Life often presents us with questions we cannot answer, but in Dima's struggle there is a lesson of strength and courage. He has touched your lives profoundly. "But Father, what about his suffering? Is there meaning in that too?" "In his innocence, Dima has known love and care thanks to each of you. His journey here may be brief, but it's been filled with compassion. In God's eyes, he is a precious soul, and soon he will be at peace." "Do you think he'll go to heaven, Father?" "I believe so. Heaven is a place of eternal love and peace, a sanctuary for souls like Dima. His time here is ending, but his spirit will find a new beginning." The room fell silent, each person reflecting on Father Andrei's words. As the priest began the last rites, a sense of calm enveloped the room. Despite the pain of impending loss, there was a sliver of solace in the belief that Dima, the boy who had never spoken a word, had silently taught them the profoundest lessons of life and would soon find his rest in a place free from pain and war. Suddenly, Dima's eyes fluttered open and he looked at Tom. His gaze was filled with a mix of determination and innocence that took him by surprise. Struggling immensely, he began to speak in broken, halting words, each syllable a monumental effort. "Tom, I not go heaven, not now." Tom leaned closer, his heart aching at his struggle. "Dima, it's okay, you don't have to speak," he said softly. "No, I fight, want better, strong." His words, though barely coherent, were filled with a fierce resolve that he had never heard before. It was as if in this moment he was summoning all his strength to express his deepest wish. "You want to get better?" "Yes, I dream America, family." Tom felt a lump in his throat. Dima, in all his frailty, was clinging to a dream, a hope that seemed as distant as the stars. "That's a big dream, Dima, but it's good to have dreams." "I try every day, strong." Tom squeezed his hand gently, fighting back tears. Dima's eyelids began to droop. The effort of speaking had drained his little remaining strength. As he drifted back into a fitful sleep, he sat there, marveling at the immense courage and will of this small, fragile boy who against all odds still dared to dream. His spirit, unbroken despite the hardships, was a profound lesson in resilience and hope. This is where things take a turn for the better. Jake and Marcy, a wealthy American couple, had long dreamt of extending their family. Their hearts were particularly drawn to those whose lives have been shattered by conflict and despair. After much deliberation, they decided to take care of a child from Ukraine, a country ravaged by war and left with countless children in need. Their journey to Ukraine was filled with a mix of excitement and solemnity. They knew the path ahead would be challenging, but were determined to offer a child not just a home, but a chance at a life filled with love and opportunities. As they traveled toward the orphanage nestled in a small war-torn town, they discussed their hopes and dreams for their future child. "Jake, can you believe we're finally doing this? We're gonna give a child a whole new life." "I know, Marcy, it's incredible. I keep thinking about their little face, how they'll light up when we tell them they're coming home with us. It's gonna be life-changing for them and for us. I just hope we can find the child who needs us the most." "Yeah, especially a child with disabilities. They often get overlooked. We have the means and the love to give them a better life." Marcy nodded, her eyes reflecting a deep sense of purpose. "I've been thinking about that a lot. In America, they'll have access to better healthcare, education, everything they need to thrive. And we'll be there for them every step of the way." Their conversation was a tapestry of hope and determination, weaving together their aspirations for the child they were yet to meet. As the car approached the gates of the orphanage, their hearts raced with anticipation. As Jake and Marcy walked through the corridors of the Ukrainian orphanage, their eyes scanned the faces of countless children, each carrying a story of hardship and resilience. Then they entered a quiet room where a small boy lay in a bed, his eyes reflecting a deep wisdom beyond his years. It was Dima. They were instantly drawn to him, sensing a profound connection. His frail body and the silent struggle visible in his eyes spoke volumes to them. They approached him gently, their hearts filled with a mix of compassion and determination. "Hi, little one, I'm Marcy, and this is Jake. We've come a long way to meet you." Dima looked at them, a flicker of curiosity in his tired eyes. "We heard about your bravery, Dima," Jake said. "How'd you like to come with us to America? We want to be your new family." Dima's response was slow, his voice weak but laced with a faint hint of hope. "America? Yes, go with you." Marcy's eyes welled up with tears, and Jake's smile was a mixture of joy and relief. They turned to find Tom, who'd been quietly observing the exchange from the doorway. "Tom, we want to take care of Dima. Can you help us with the arrangements?" Tom replied, "Of course. It's not a simple process, especially now with the war, but we'll do everything we can to make it happen." "We'll provide whatever's needed," Marcy said. "We just want to give Dima a chance at a better life." Tom nodded, visibly moved by their commitment. As Jake and Marcy thanked Tom, they looked back at Dima, who was watching them with a newfound glimmer of hope in his eyes. In that moment, they knew their lives were about to change forever. They were embarking on a journey of love, challenge, and transformation that would redefine their family. Over the years, Jake and Marcy Chaves dedicated themselves to Dima's development with unwavering commitment and love. Utilizing their wealth and resources, they provided the best medical care, therapy, and education available. Their efforts bore remarkable results. Dima, once a frail child confined to a bed, was now a vibrant 10-year-old full of life and energy. Dima's progress was nothing short of miraculous. With therapy and patience, he developed motor skills that once seemed unattainable. He could now walk, run, and even play sports. His favorite was soccer, and he'd become an enthusiastic member of a local team. The joy on his face as he chased the ball across the field was a testament to his incredible journey. Not only did Dima flourish physically, but academically as well. He'd mastered not only his native Ukrainian, but also became fluent in English thanks to the nurturing environment provided by the Chavez family. In school, Dima was a bright student, eager to learn and participate. One evening, as Jake and Marcy sat in their living room, they reflected on Dima's extraordinary journey. "Marcy, do you remember the first day we saw Dima? He was so fragile, so uncertain of the world." "I do, and now look at him. He's thriving, Jake. Playing soccer, excelling in school. He's come so far." "I'm just so proud of him. He's faced challenges that would have overwhelmed many, yet he's not just surviving, he's thriving. His resilience is inspiring, and his ability to connect with others, he's made so many friends. He's truly a part of the community." "Yes, and his teachers speak so highly of him. He's curious, engaged, and always willing to help others. He's not just living a normal life, he's living an extraordinary one." Marcy smiled, her eyes shining with pride and love. "We hope to give him a better life, but in many ways he's enriched ours just as much." Their conversation was filled with a sense of achievement and joy. Dima, the boy from a Ukrainian orphanage, had defied all odds, transforming him from a child struggling for survival into a beacon of hope and truth. For Jake and Marcy Chavez, the journey with Dima was more than a fulfillment of a dream. It was a beautiful, life-changing adventure that redefined the meaning of family, love, and resilience. In the warm, cozy living room of the Chavez household, Dima sat with Jake and Marcy, a contented smile on his face. The room was filled with the comfortable chatter of a family deeply connected and at ease with each other. "Mom, Dad, I want to say something. I'm so happy here in America. I love it and I love you both so much." Mary reached out and took Dima's hand, her eyes glistening with emotion. "Oh, Dima, we love you too. We're so glad you feel happy here." "You've made our lives so complete, Dima. We're incredibly proud of you." "I feel like I have everything now. A home, family, friends. I never thought I could have a life like this. Playing soccer, going to school, it's like a dream. And you're doing so well in everything, Dima. Your soccer coach told us how much you've improved." "Not just in soccer. Your teachers are impressed with how quickly you're learning. You're a star in the making, son." "I try my best because you both taught me never to give up. In Ukraine, things were so hard, but here I feel I can do anything." Marcy hugged Dima, her heart swelling with pride. The room was filled with love and understanding, a testament to the deep bond that had formed between them. Dima's journey from a Ukrainian orphanage to a loving home in America was a story of hope, resilience, and the transformative power of love and family. If this story and the willpower to overcome even the greatest of odds is inspiring to you, subscribe to our channel for many more such heartwarming tales of success.